Excellent. So do you want to kick us off by telling us your name and talking about where you're currently living?
Yes, my name is Elizabeth Perry, and I currently live in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Excellent. And what about your experience in Tulsa made you want to do this interview with us?
Oh, interesting. I think that you all reached out, and I thought, I wish I had something like this to see from the ground what it's like, as opposed to, the YouTube videos where someone's like, come here, this is this neighborhood, the nitty gritty kind of thing.
Excellent. What are some positives about Tulsa that you really like?
Some things that have really, really surprised me. Now, where I live is close to the river. It's close to a famous street called Riverside Drive. Um, and it has trails and parks, and you can rent electric bikes by a company called This Machine, which that really surprised me because that really seemed like something that would be more in a liberal type city, a San Francisco, New York, that kind of thing. So I was pleasantly surprised by that.
Excellent. If somebody were to come visit you for the day or overnight, are there like local things that you would say that they have to see or that you would take them to go experience?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of an oddball there because the first, and please, I hope you don't think I'm a nut for telling you what I'm going to tell you next, is that the first thing that really sparked my interest was I lived in Virginia before this, and the alcohol stores are controlled by ABC, which is alcohol and beverage. But in Oklahoma, they're all independent stores that anybody can own a liquor store. So I thought that was fascinating. So I'm like, oh, hi, you're a liquor store. Wait, oh, that's great. Let me see here, which is funny on my part. The second thing is the amount of marijuana stores. I would probably show people like, oh my gosh, this isn't California. It just blows my mind. So I would definitely take people there and say, there's a liquor store, there's a pot store, there's a place to buy ribs. I mean, that kind of thing. So I would show them that first, just because politically I found that fascinating, considering this is supposed to be a conservative state, kind of blew my mind. I would also then take them down Riverside Drive and show them all the parks and trails. I would take them to see all the older homes that are in downtown Tulsa, which fascinated me as well. But then I would take them into some, supposed poverty neighborhoods that I didn't find look like poverty neighborhoods. I thought they looked like cute older homes, which I'm kind of sorry I didn't buy in one of those neighborhoods. So those are the things so far that I would show them. Oh, sorry, one more Oral Roberts University. I probably would show them that. I live very close to that, and they've got praying hands, which is kind of a cool little monument. And also the monuments here, they're not like the monuments that you hear about being torn down all over the country. They're monuments of animals, which I find really bizarre in a good way. That, it's such a nature sort of thing that's highly valued here. I don't know if it's because of the Native American culture here. I'm assuming so. But so a lot of the statues and monuments I would show people.
Interesting. On like the flip side, are there things you don't like as much or wish you could change about Tulsa?
So I'm kind of just sort of figuring that out. Like, let's say that you and I are talking at the moment. We're having a great conversation. Okay, and then this is how it ends. Bye, I'll let you go now and walk off. It almost reminds me of when I lived in California. It's nice and everybody's friendly to a point. And that strikes me as really odd. I just don't know what to make of it quite yet.
Interesting.
Like I haven't really quite figured the culture out yet.
Interesting. Overall, would you recommend that someone else move to Tulsa?
The jury's really out because the other interesting thing is a small growing tech kind of culture that if you are an entrepreneur, they really want you here. There's something called Tulsa Remote. I don't know if you've heard about that, where they're paying, people $10,000 a year to come here if you
Interesting.
apply to that program. So I'm just assuming that it would be a great place if you're a techie. It's also a big arts scene and things like this. So if you're into arts and culture and that kind of thing, it's going to be, my prediction is going to be a little Austin. And there are
Interesting.
already little signs about that of that. It's already, the prices are coming up. It's affordable now. Yeah, so I got lucky and I happened to sell a property that I owned in Portland, Oregon, and I was able to pay off that loan and buy something here for cash. But the affordability, I mean, that was almost unheard of. So if somebody can get in on the ground floor and buy something while stuff is reasonable, I would absolutely recommend it. It seems to be safe. People told me that there are homeless, but there doesn't seem to be the amount of homeless that I left in Virginia, or what you would see in a more liberal state, a San Francisco or a Portland. And I do kind of like that, as horrible as that is to say.
All right. So you mentioned that you kind of lived in San Francisco and Virginia. Have you lived anywhere else?
No, I didn't live in San Francisco. I
Oh,
lived in the Bay Area though for 10 years I'm 60 years old, by the way. So, I mean, obviously through a lifetime, I've lived in a few places, but I lived in the Bay Area from 1988 to 98. In 1998, I moved to Richmond, Virginia, and only left once in 2006 for 9 months when I moved to Portland to buy a condo. And I immediately moved back to Richmond, Virginia, and left there 6 months ago. So really, Richmond, Virginia is the place that I've lived longest in my lifetime of being a human being. So,
wow. Which of like your moves that you've gone through in the past is the most like dramatic? Like which one was the biggest shift?
I think that they all are. And anybody that tells you that, oh, it just gets harder when you're older, it doesn't. It's hard when you're, when you do it at 26, and it just is, because you have to find your new routines, your new people, your new grocery stores, your new farmers markets, things like this. So I wouldn't want to minimize somebody in their 20s, because it's never easy.
Mhm.
The only thing that maybe makes this move a little bit easier, and only a little bit, is because I purchased this condo for cash. So some of that stress is gone, but you still got food, and you've got, your other expenses, living, car payments, etc. But with that, I would say this move would be the easiest. But if that weren't the case, I would say everything would be equal.
Interesting. Do you have any advice for people who might be moving to Tulsa in the near future?
Honestly, just do it and see if you like it, because I came and visited in 2017 for about 3 days. But until you actually live somewhere, and I don't care how many YouTube videos you watch, you just do not know until you go somewhere. You don't know if it's going to fit or work. And the worst thing, you don't like it and go somewhere else. Best thing is that you could like it.
Excellent. Well, those were all my questions today. Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Do you have anything else you want to share before we sign off?
No, the only thing that I think that somebody maybe in your age group might want to be aware is, and if this is important to somebody, is that, abortion was, with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, abortion was made illegal and that kind of thing. So there are some things that somebody in a certain age group might want to really think about. It's a conservative state, although I don't really feel that as much. But some laws someone just might want to be really conscious of. But I would say, if you looked on Wikipedia and all of this, it used to be a very Democrat type state. So I would want somebody to know that and to check the political situation before they move to any state, actually.
Excellent. I think that's really good advice. Thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, have a great rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.